Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today we're going to be talking about the officially released plot synopsis for 73 Yards, as well as cast lists, as well as confirmation of the return of the video commentary for Boom, featuring Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat. And we're going to be going over some additional Trickster evidence and some more Moffat comments on Boom. So before we get into all that, subscribe if you're new, that would be greatly appreciated. We do regular Doctor Who content here on the channel, and any support would be greatly appreciated. On that front, we are trying to get to 25,000 subscribers as quickly as possible, and we are fast approaching 23,700, so we're getting there closer and closer by the day. Feel free to subscribe if you're new to join us on this journey, and let's get right into it. So yes, first thing I wanted to pick up on, the 73 Yards synopsis, episode 4 of season 1 has been released officially. Landing on the Welsh coast, the Doctor and Ruby embark on the strangest journey of their lives. In a rain-lashed pub, the locals sit in fear of ancient legends coming to life. Very interesting. This is one I'm really excited for because we know so little about it. I feel like with all the others so far, Boom to a lesser extent, but definitely episodes 1 and 2, we knew quite a bit going in. With this one, I have no idea what to expect. I know Russell said that this is one of the best things he's written, and the last time he said that, it was about Wild Blue Yonder, which you guys know I absolutely love to this day. It's my favourite RTD2 episode by quite some margin. So if we get something in that vein from Russell again, and Moffat delivers the goods with Boom, we could be on to some real winners here. But something else that caught my eye was the credits. Obviously, the obvious names are here, Ncuti Gatwa, Millie Gibson, etc. But we do have our first appearance of Roger Ap William, played by Aneurin Barnard. So for those of you who don't remember, he was announced a while ago as kind of this political figurehead in some sort of new movement. We've seen like political buildings, and I think it's to do with a company called Albion. So it looks like this is going to be the introduction of the more Black Mirror-y kind of political stuff that Millie Gibson has also mentioned in interviews before, which I find very interesting. But that's not the only interesting thing about this list. Another is there is a character simply referred to as the Woman, played by Hilary Hobson. Now I'm going to assume that this is the woman we see in the trailers that's stalking them, I'm assuming. But from what I can tell, Hilary Hobson has not been an actor that's officially announced. It's also worth noting that Gemma Redgrave's Kate Stewart isn't on this list, so is it possible that Hilary Hobson is maybe an amalgam of names, or maybe it is just an actress we aren't aware of? But I do find it notable that Kate Stewart isn't on the cast list for this, despite the fact that we know she is in episodes with Roger Ap William, and I'm pretty sure it was even said that episode 4 was going to feature units. So interesting that they're not on the list, but maybe they're hiding it away deliberately. And finally, it won't have escaped your notice that Susan Twist has another role, this time playing a random hiker. I'm really curious about the Susan Twist stuff. I'm going to have a video coming out about that later on, maybe tomorrow. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff, and I'm looking forward to this episode. That's not the only thing that the BBC website revealed, though. On the Doctor Who video commentaries, we've got our first one for the brand new season, and this one features Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat, and Joel Collins. Join writer Stephen Moffat, showrunner Russell T Davies, and executive producer Joel Collins as they watch and commentate the Doctor Who episode Boom, packed with behind-the-scenes secrets and fun recollections of what's gone before and what's yet to come. I'm very excited for this. I love seeing Moffat and Russell talk about Doctor Who and their processes. And the nerd in me could not help but notice they have what looks to be like a, I don't know, like a 1/12 scale model of the TARDIS in that office where they are. If you guys are watching this and you don't want that anymore, Russell, I'd be happy to have it. I'm just saying, look at that. I wish we still had character options TARDISes. I know that they're like really expensive to make, but I miss those playsets, man. I had the Smith one as a kid, and I had so much fun with it. Anyway, that's just something I thought was worth noting. Stephen Moffat has had another interview with the Radio Times, and there was a couple of interesting quotes I wanted to pick up from him here. Not the whole thing, but I wanted to basically skim some of the quotes. First one is his retelling of telling past Doctors about him coming back. He told both Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, and this was their reactions, according to Moffat. Matt Smith was very amused, Moffat tells Radio Times, of his former leading man, Peter Capaldi, absolutely roared with laughter that I was doing it. he said, "I knew you'd go back." That's very funny to me that Peter was like, "Yeah, I knew you'd go back. I know you like this too much." Given that he told both Matt and Peter, maybe this is me clowning slightly, but hopefully it doesn't rule out either of them maybe wanting to return themselves in some kind of future capacity. Hey, a man can dream, right? A man can dream. The other quote I wanted to cover was this one. So he talks about Boom in relation to the rest of the series, and he says, "It's quite an about face. If you've seen the first 2 episodes of this series, this will arrive like a bloody shock. I'll tell you it's quite different, but that's the nature of the beast." And he also says that it's focused a lot on tension and scariness, which I think is what we need in a series that has so far, as I keep saying, been quite light. I've enjoyed a lot of that, but I'm ready for something a bit more meaty, you know? Finally, we may have some more evidence for the trickster theory. Someone sent me this literally minutes after my video on who could be the oldest one came out, but further evidence could suggest a trickster return for the season finale. Obviously, this is mainly a theory, so I don't feel too bad in covering it, because it's not necessarily a spoiler, it could be wrong. But people have noticed that if you watch this clip, the song that relates to the box that Maria activates, that basically removes Sarah Jane from existence, is the same one that Ruby appears to be singing in The Devil's Call. Let's give it a listen.
That's wrong.
What do you mean?
There's a hidden...
You hear it?
I am asking you, just...
Like, it's pretty close, right? And I mean, if it's not, it's a blooming coincidence if it's got nothing to do with the trickster. Because, I mean, the vocals are pretty much exactly the same, and like the melody of it is pretty much exactly the same. Now, I have seen people say, "Oh, well, Murray didn't compose for Sarah Jane Adventures." That doesn't mean he can't necessarily revisit a motif from the Sarah Jane Adventures necessarily. And, you know, a lot of the replies are saying, "My God, you cracked it," comparing the destroyed London in The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith to the destroyed London in The Devil's Call. So the core theory for this seems to be that Russell T Davies is reusing an idea from the Sarah Jane Adventures that he never got to implement, where Sarah Jane's second adopted child, Sky, would turn out to be a child of the trickster. So the theory essentially goes that Ruby is now a child of the trickster, which is certainly a way to go about it. Personally, I know some people say that the trickster isn't really a big enough deal to be a series villain. Personally, I disagree. No one really knew outside the fandom who the Toymaker was when they were brought back, even less so for Beep the Meep, and I thought they were incredibly well done inclusions. So for me, the inclusion of someone like the Trickster not only is very much ripe with potential, but also incredibly nostalgic for someone who grew up with Sarah Jane Adventures. I'm sure there are plenty of you in the comments who can relate, younger folk perhaps my age, who can really relate to that feeling of just loving the Trickster and loving those episodes. But yeah, I wanted to cover that because it sort of acts as a nice addendum to yesterday's video, which if you haven't watched, I would still recommend we go over some of the potential candidates for the oldest one, or at least who I think they could be. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.